Yes, my friends, welcome back. Three big stories to break down today. We say goodbye and farewell to Mateo Kovacic, who today is officially announced by Man City. To move on, we have some very interesting updates surrounding Diogo Costa of FC Porto. And to end things, we have another interesting story. Are we set to sign Real Madrid's best young centre-back in Rafa Marin? My friends, we got a ton of great stories to discuss today. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you to everyone for showing so much love and support throughout the summer. It definitely means a lot. And I want to let you guys know that from next month onwards, there's many exciting projects I've been working on behind the scenes, and I can't wait to share them with you guys over the next month. So I hope you guys are happy to see another video. Hit that like button, and without wasting any more time, today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in OneFootball. And every time the window opens in January, in the summer, you need to make sure that OneFootball is on your phone, because this is an essential app for the latest news and stories happening across Europe. As you guys can see on the app, right now Mateo Kovacic and him signing for Man City is dominating the headlines. But to stay up to date with the latest news across Europe, of course, Bayern Munich are trying very hard for Harry Kane. Andrea Pirlo has become the new manager of Sampdoria, and Man City are still fighting for Declan Rice. But if you don't care about that stuff, if you want more curated news around our football club or transfer targets that you like, follow them on OneFootball and you'll get instant access to all the latest updates around these guys from articles all across Europe. And this is why I've always used this app for years, and I'm going to keep on using it. So if you guys want to try it out for yourselves and see what you've been missing out on, you'll find a link below in the description and the QR codes on screen too. So right now, let's start with things by saying farewell to another player in this window, and that is Mateo Kovacic. Now, we've known for a while now that we've agreed to 25 million plus 5 million add-on deal to sell him to Man City. We've been waiting for the official announcement, and here are Kova's first words after being announced at Man City. As he says, "This is a brilliant move for me. Anyone who has watched this team under Pep knows how good they are. For me, they are the best in the world. To be joining this squad really is a dream for any footballer." And you know, it would be very easy to be like cynical and interpret this in the wrong way and be like, you know, Kovacic, you snake, blah, blah, blah. We've known for a while now that he would be leaving us. He has wanted to try something new. And let's not forget this, we did not offer him a contract extension. So if that's not going to be offered to you, that's basically telling Kova that you're surplus to requirements. And to be very fair to Kovacic, this type of football that Pep plays is like his dream football. We all know that. Let's keep things real. The ball's exclusively played on the ground most of the time, positional play. And I think most importantly, you know, when Kova plays in like tight spaces, you know, sometimes we haven't had players on his wavelength at times when he's like improvising moments in like congested areas, right? And I do think that at Man City, there's many players that have that same type of wavelength as Mateo. So I do feel like stylistically, Man City is the best fit. Now, do I necessarily feel scared about Kova signing for City? I'm not too sure, to be fair with you. Obviously, Gundogan is a big miss for City because this guy was a match winner. His goals were very important. The guy scored some phenomenal goals too. And Kova isn't really known as a goal scorer. Of course, over like 200 appearances, he scored like 5 or 6 goals for us. I mean, these goals have been worth the wait though. Like, these goals are like classic, memorable moments, and you know, I'm going to appreciate him for doing those things, right? Obviously, he won our Player of the Year in the 19-20 season. He has had good moments for us, but I do feel like near the end, maybe his body is starting to, not to fail him. That's a very strong word, but he has been out the team quite a few times with injuries, and it does take him a run of games to really get back to full speeds. Obviously, over the past 2 seasons, there's been tons of ankle injuries and knocks. And to be very fair with you, there has been because he has been fouled. You know, it's not because he's not training properly or anything like that. And maybe when you're a player that plays like him, you do attract a bit more like aggression and tackles like this. And I guess in the end, we didn't see the best of Kova last season. I felt like last season was his worst season with us by far. But at the same time, it's pre-season. You have like 6 weeks, 7 weeks to really recondition yourself. You're going to a new environment. You're playing for Pep Guardiola at Man City. So if that's not going to help you find motivation, nothing really is. And for me, I definitely feel like this guy is not a snake whatsoever. I think there's a reality that we have to accept now. The Premier League has so much money and wealth, and it's so vast, right, that most foreign clubs can't afford Premier League players. The wages are too high, the asking prices are too much as well too. And if like the big boy heavy hitters from across Europe aren't after your guys, it only makes sense that you're selling within the league, right? And I'm expecting to see a lot more like interleague deals made throughout the next few years. Regardless, we say farewell to Kova. He's had many great moments with us here at this football club, and I think we have to respect these guys because, of course, they helped us win silverware and trophies too. So that's the first story out of the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. And now let's move on to these interesting reports now surrounding Diogo Costa. I feel like this news now is starting to make a bit more sense. Now obviously we've been heavily linked with guys like Marin and most importantly Onana. But let's start first with Inter Milan, because as we know, Inter are hoping to sign Romelu Lukaku, this time on a loan fee with an obligation to buy for around 30 million euros afterwards. And based on today's reports from Matt Law, it seems like these conditions and terms are terms that we are okay with because there is an obligation to buy at the end of the loan spell. So realistically, Lukaku is going nowhere else. He doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, and it's hard to force a player to leave when you don't really have much control to make that happen, right? So I think this is a fair move, and it does seem like this move from Inter Milan will be fully dependent on Man United securing Onana. And it seems like a fee of around 50 million euros is the final asking price that United want. And you might be thinking to yourself, Nini, like for that type of money, knowing the fact that Inter Milan want Lukaku, Jared Chalobah, and we've allowed Aspi to terminate his contract to sign for them on a free, how are we not signing Onana? Well, we can't forget this. One thing that we've seen with Todd Bowley now and the new strategy at this football club is that if there's a way for us to sign our number one option, we are going to do everything in our power to make that happen. And that's one thing I really respect. And let's not forget how epic it was in January when we finally secured Enzo Fernandez, when we all thought the deal was off and it wasn't going to happen. This ball can make the impossible become possible. And it does seem like the number one target we've had is FC Porto's Diogo Costa. Now United can't afford to buy him for his release clause, and today we're getting interesting reports from Portugal. One report from CNN Portugal states that Diogo Costa's future now is set to be in the Premier League, and there's only two clubs that need a goalkeeper. That's us and that's Man United. So with Man United after Onana, that frees us up now to be able to fully target Costa without any competition. Now a few days ago, I did discuss a story that was talking about signing Costa in installments. It would be 3 equal installments, around 25 million each for the next 3 years, because Costa has a release clause of 75 million euros. But let's not forget too that currently FC Porto are in a bit of an FFP crisis, because if they don't raise up to 50 million euros in capital gains before the end of this month, they're going to be punished very hard by UEFA. Now, some FC Porto fans believe that they're in this financial situation because, board members, third parties, agents, investors, etc., they all receive percentages and fees anytime players are bought and sold, right? And they're worried that money is getting taken out of the club due to this way of conducting business. And this is why they're currently in that situation. And because of how dire the situation is right now, can FC Porto realistically sell Costa for his release clause in the position they're in right now? Personally, I don't see that happening. And to give you guys more interesting news, once it turns Saturday, and that's going to be 1st July, there is a clause that gets activated in Costa's contract, which will take his current release clause from 75 million euros to 100 million euros. And already teams are saying no at the 75 million euros. Once that value increases, he becomes even harder to sell. So it's quite obvious now that FC Porto will have to be very flexible and dramatically reduce the asking price for Diogo Costa. And based on more reports coming out from Portugal, they've enlisted one of our good advisors and friends in Jorge Mendes to help with these current negotiations. And obviously, Jorge Mendes is set to apply pressure to FC Porto to release the keeper for less money. Right now, we're earning a lot of money from sales, and you know what? I still don't know whether we could maybe sign Costa before this month ends. FC Porto must earn at least 50 million euros in capital gains, and right now, how many sellable assets do they have? You're looking at Otavio, who today won the Portuguese Player of the Year, maybe Taremi, but realistically, if they sold Costa, instantly they're back up they're in the clear. So with all these things currently working against FC Porto, my friends, let's continue to watch the space because Diogo Costa is that #1 keeper this club wants to sign. And right now, let's end things with another interesting story, and we discuss Real Madrid Castilla centre-back Rafa Marin. Right now, he's 21 years old, he's like 6'3" in height, he's one of the best players in the third league of the Spanish league, and he's had a big reputation at Real Madrid for a few years. And today, AS Spain give us some very interesting updates. Now, before I even continue on, this story has been something that's been simmering behind the scenes now for like, I think over 6 months or even a year now. Of course, we've been scouting this guy for a while, and back in January, there was an exclusive report released by The Telegraph mentioning our interest in the player for the first time. Now, back in January, he had 18 months left in his deal, and right now, he only has 12 months left. And currently, after Real Madrid Castilla failed to gain promotion from the third league, a lot of their top players right now are looking for moves. Now, Rafa Marin feels like his future now is away from Real Madrid. He hoped to stay here, but after they kept Nacho Fernandez, and after Vallejo admitted that he doesn't want to leave them, there's currently no pathway available for Rafa Marin in that Madrid first team. Now, ideally, he prefers to remain here, but with 1 year left in his deal, Madrid have failed to tie him down to an extension, and currently this guy is on pitiful wages compared to his counterparts at Real Madrid. Now, Marin has attracted tons of interest from not only us, but also RB Leipzig and Paris Saint-Germain. After waiting patiently for opportunities, it feels like he's finally had enough now, and I guess the final blow came in January where Madrid didn't call him up for the Club World Cup squads. And of course, if you're not being called up for that tournament, then what's it really saying about your future? Anyway, my friends, it's quite clear that we've been heavily scouting and following this guy now for at least 18 months. Now this guy has 12 years left in his deal. You can sign him for an absolute bargain. Now, Marin is supposed to be seen as a leader, a very commanding centre-back. A lot of Madrid fans said that he was basically single-handedly running that Castilla defence. And he's good on the ball, he's commanding aerially, and he has a great reputation. But I get what some of you guys are thinking right now. Nini, like, today I'm reading reports that Colwell prefers to remain at Brighton. Like, why are we signing another defender? Why not just keep Chalobah? But my friends, I feel like we have to think about the bigger picture, because we know that we just secured RC Strasbourg now. They're part of our network. We're hoping to secure another Portuguese club within this summer window too. And realistically, we'd be signing him exclusively for our network. It makes the most sense. I mean, for me, when you're signing players like him, you have to sign players that you feel possibly have the potential to be good enough to play in your first team, right? And the bonus is if there's no opportunities open for them, if they're not good enough. You're signing talents like this for basically nothing. You're set to profit on them. You're set to make money in the future. And we need to spearhead our new network now by signing great young talents and giving them the opportunity now to, play in environments that will encourage them to grow and hopefully fulfill their potential. So for me, I'm more than happy with this move. But you have to understand that not every player that's bought by football clubs is bought exclusively to play in your first team. Clubs are also a business. Players are like assets these days. And 6 months ago, this guy was valued around 10 million. 6 months later, that value is now dropping, and for a player that has a great reputation like him, I feel like this is a no-brainer. Get him signed. Let's see how he does for Strasbourg or someone else, and hopefully we start seeing early signs now of this new multi-club network approach. So my friends, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.